A new study by FSU's Institute for Governance and Civics shows just how deeply divided our country has become when it comes to politics and how it is increasingly permeating and in some cases ending our relationships. The IGC drew from dozens of national surveys and studies and found talking about politics is more stressful than ever, and people are more pessimistic than ever that we can bridge our political differences. It also found that a vast majority of people believe people on the opposite political party don't share their values, and going even further, think they're more immoral or dishonest. The study also documented that political disagreements are increasingly impacting our social circles. 28% of Americans now say they've lost friends because of it, and we're increasingly surrounding ourselves with people who share our political views.
So what we seem to be doing as a country right now is doubling down on existing beliefs, polarized existing beliefs, and that's a real problem, because what we need to do is associate ourselves with others who don't necessarily agree with us, to challenge our views, but just recognize that there is much more to life here than politics.
Owen says we have lots of work to do in terms of civic education to try to reverse these trends. The study also has some head-turning stats about how many Thanksgiving dinners have been ruined by political disagreements and even how marriages are being impacted by them. We do have a link to the study on our website and news app.